So welcome to my YouTube channel. That's what we call The Good Life. We're coming into April and it's really starting to get going on the allotment and in the home garden. There's lots of things you can be sowing and planting this time of the year. Now I'm going to be going through some of the options that you can be sowing and planting, and indeed some of the things that I'm going to be sowing and planting myself. I'm also going to be giving you some top tips along the way, things that I might leave for a little bit longer, and tips of how I would do things. So if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my allotment, my home garden, and from time to time my home kitchen. So let's get started of the things that you could be starting off. I've got an array of seeds here. Some of them can be started off outside, some of them can be started off indoors. It really is a good time of year, especially if you've got somewhere indoors you can start places off, and a heated greenhouse. If you've not got those, you are a little bit limited, but there are ways you can work around things and still get some really amazing crops, and I'm going to be giving you some options here right now. So let's look at some of the things that you can be starting off. And I've got the biggest bundle of seeds that I've had so far from the different what to sows in 2025, because there really are lots of things that you could be getting going if you want to. Now sweet corn is one of them. That's something that isn't frost tolerant, so you do need to be starting this off either indoors or in a heated greenhouse or on a heat mat. I've got the small mini pot there, so these are the little sweet corns, but you could equally try some of the big ones as well. Unfortunately we have badgers on our allotment, so these ones are a lot less likely to get attacked by the badgers, so I can be starting these off this month or next month. I've got a little bit of time. It probably might end up being next month or towards the end of April that I get to do these, because I've got such a lot that I need to do. I've already started off my tomatoes, but if you've not started off your tomatoes, you really need to be doing it, because these do need to be planted quite early, otherwise you might struggle to ripen them. And mine are already in my conservatory with a grow lamp over them. A grow lamp's really handy, because obviously if you've not got them outside, which you can't have them outside because it's too cold at the moment, and they don't get enough natural light, and the grow lights make a really big difference. We do have an allotment shop on Amazon. I do have to say that we do make a little bit of money out of it, but if you want to get yourself some grow lights, there will be a link up on the screen and one in the description if you feel that you would find that useful. So again, if you've not got your tomatoes started, now is a really good time to do them. I started mine off a couple of months ago, but they will stay in my conservatory because they do not tolerate frost at all. Now carrots are frost hardy. You can start them off this month if you want to, but you can also wait another month or two if you want to as well. I will probably start mine off next month, if I'm really honest with you, only because I've got so much to start off and I don't feel I gain an awful lot putting them out a little bit earlier. But you can put them out this month, and you can start them off in module trays, but I normally just direct sow either towards the end of this month or the beginning of May. Beetroot are very similar to carrot. They are frost tolerant, so if you want to start them off in module trays, then you are very welcome to, but you can direct sow this month if you want to. And I will probably do the same thing with the beetroot as I'm doing with the carrots. I'll probably either sow these towards the end of the month or the beginning of May as well. Turnips again, so there are quite a few things you can put out if you haven't got a heated greenhouse, and turnips is another one. Exactly the same thing with the beetroots and the carrots, very frost hardy. You can direct sow out if you want to. You can also start off in module trays if that's your preferred method too. Coming to cucumbers. Now cucumbers are not frost tolerant and they can easily get very leggy. Starting these off too early could end in disaster, so I will start these off this month in April, but I will probably wait until more towards the end of it. But I have got my grow lamps, which I've got to say do make a lot of difference. It's my first year of using grow lamps and I am ridiculously impressed and wish that I'd done it sooner. But again, not frost tolerant, so they do need to be kept either in a heated greenhouse, or like myself, I'll keep mine in my conservatory. Florence fennel is another one you can start off this month. Personally, I will probably wait a little bit longer because they're less likely to bolt, so I probably will put mine out more like May or June time, but you are very welcome to put this out now. So all the different varieties of sweet peppers and chili peppers. These are something that if you haven't got out now, or you haven't started now, then you do need to get cracking. A little bit like tomatoes, they take a long time to fruit, and then they're not frost tolerant. So it's a really, really good idea to start them this month if you've not already done that. I've already done mine. I did them a couple of months ago. Again, they're in my greenhouse with my grow lamp over the top of them to protect them, because they, like I said, they are very, very susceptible to the frost. It's very, very similar with aubergines. Again, exactly the same thing. They do take quite a long time before they fruit, and they're not frost tolerant both ends of the season. So it's a really good idea if you've not started your aubergines off now to start them off this month. The sooner the better. Again, I've started mine off, and mine are in my conservatory at the moment underneath my grow lamp. So that's more hot peppers there. Leeks, you can start those off in module trays, or you can direct sow your leeks. I generally start mine off in trays. I've got some down here that I've already started off. I've got a few little trays of them. I'll probably wait until they've got a little bit bigger, and I will probably just pop them straight in the ground, probably about June time. I might pop them on, but I probably won't. I've spread them out a little bit more so they can swell out themselves. But yeah, they are frost tolerant, so you can either do them in trays or you can pop them straight out. So chard or spinach, very frost tolerant. Again, you can direct sow, or you can start off in module trays. Often this time of year I just do them in some module trays, which I have got a few under here somewhere where I've just got a few in a tray there. And later in the year I will just sprinkle them in the ground. But again, if you want to just sprinkle some in the ground now, you can do that as well. So they are quite frost tolerant. Peas, they aren't, although they're not very frost tolerant, you can get away with putting peas straight into the ground now. Obviously check the varieties that you're planting. I've got to say, my first lot of peas I normally do just pop in the greenhouse, and they've just started to come up now. Mine went in a few weeks ago. And my top tip with peas is I soak them overnight in water, I drain them, I put them between some wet tissue, and I wait for them to sprout. Once they've sprouted, I just pop them in the ground. I don't worry what way up they are, I just drop them down just a tiny bit into the soil, and it just helps them germinate just that little bit easier. So yeah, these are like a March 2 variety, but obviously there's lots of different types. There's the sugar snap, there's all sorts of different types of peas you can be starting off now, and that's a really easy one where you don't have to stress too much about them not being frost tolerant. Spring onions, for some reason I struggle to grow spring onions when I sow them direct, so I always start them off in little trays and then I pop them in the ground afterwards, a little bit like I do with leeks. But again, you can direct sow, or you can start off in module trays, and they are frost tolerant. And good old-fashioned radishes, they are frost tolerant, so again you can start them off in module trays, but personally I would just sow them straight into where you're going to grow them. Very, very easy, very, very quick to grow, so that's another one you can be sowing now. I'm going to be moving on to some of the things I'm going to be planting, but just to let you know, if you've not got your onion sets in, you really want to get them in April, otherwise you're pushing it. It's getting a little bit too late. Mine are already in my allotment growing at the moment, and also you can start to get your seed potatoes in. I've already got my Aran Pilot in, and I'm going to be getting my Charlotte and my other potatoes in over the next few weeks. So again, you know, if you've not sorted your potatoes, mine are chitting in my conservatory at the moment, if I can get my words out, but they will be going in over the coming month for 100%, so it's worth getting those out over the coming month. Now, looking at some of the seeds that you can be sowing, I'm actually going to, most likely, I won't necessarily get them all done this month, but my aim is to get some of them started off this month. I'm going to be starting off some French beans, definitely. So I've got some really unusual ones here called speckled cranberry. Never seen this variety before, so that's really, really interesting. So I'm really, really looking forward to doing these. So I've never seen this type before, but you can use, it's a triple purpose bean. You can use the pods, you can shell them for beans or dried, so that's going to be really interesting. I will most likely start these off this month. They're not frost tolerant, so they will need to be kept in a frost free environment. I can start my runner beans off this month, but I'll probably wait till May because it's just too much stuff to start off. But if you're only doing one lot of beans, you could start your runner beans off now if you wanted to. I start these beans off very similar to my peas, so I soak them in some water overnight, put them between some wet tissue. Once they've sprouted, I either put them in module trays or I pop them straight into the ground. So you can do exactly the same with those. I've got various herbs here. I've got tarragon, Russian tarragon, I've got coriander, I've got some basil, I've got some dill, I've got some parsley. So these are going to be things that I'm going to be starting off in a frost-free environment. So they will start off in my propagator. And as soon as they've started to pop through the soil, I will then take them out and they'll go into my conservatory, again in a frost-free environment, unless of course it's started to warm up. But April probably will be a little bit risky, but I might be able to move some bits out into the greenhouse, but I'm just going to have to see how the weather goes. But definitely start these off in a propagator. If you've not already got a propagator, I've actually got two. I've had them for years. I wouldn't be without them. They are heated, they are so easy to use, and you just get such quicker germination, so quick in fact you have to keep lifting the lid off to check they've not germinated, because if you leave the lid on and they shoot up too far, they can get too leggy. So as soon as they've popped through the soil, you can take the lid off, either leave them in there with the lid off or then put them into another tray so they don't go too far. I might not necessarily start all of these off this month, but I will definitely start some of them off, and the rest over the coming months. And the other thing that you can start off are some salad leaves. Now Rocket is a little bit more forgiving and it is much more frost tolerant, so again you don't have to worry too much about keeping that in a frost-free environment. I've got some mixed lettuce leaves there, and over the course of the month I will most definitely get some of those in. I find that these red and green mixed salad bowl lettuces again are just that little bit more tolerant than some of the other kind of like iceberg lettuces and little gems around. So I will be starting some of those off. My other broad beans that I overwintered, I haven't got that many left. I haven't done as well as I would like, so I'm going to be popping some of those in, and again I'll do that soaking method like I do with the peas and the beans, and I shall just pop them straight into the ground once they've sprouted. But I'm going to be getting some of those in. Broad beans are generally quite frost tolerant, so again that's something you can be sowing straight outdoors if you've got nowhere frost free. I've also got another climbing French bean here, a purple one, which I think is quite lovely there, so I'm going to be hopefully getting some of those in as well. So as you can tell, there's quite a lot you can be sowing this month. Like I say, don't do it all. I won't be doing it all. I'm just going to be picking some of the things that I'm going to be doing, and we will go from there. So brassicas is another thing that you can be sowing this month, and brassicas are again reasonably frost tolerant. You can technically put them straight out. I generally don't. I start them off indoors and then I harden them off and then I will pop them out. I've got some really beautiful candy floss kale that I've come across, which I'm really looking forward to giving a go. I've got some cauliflowers there, I've got some cabbage, I've got some Brussels. I think if you want to get Brussels done, again I would get those in this month because they take quite a while to come to fruition. Some Calabrese, I've already started off some Calabrese, which is down here, which needs to be potted on. This is reasonably frost tolerant, but I do need to be potting those on. They are a little bit leggy, but they'll be fine. They're not too leggy, but they are pushing it a bit. I shall sink those down. If you've got any plants that are a little bit leggy and you're potting them on, by the way, just sink them down a little bit. Just don't go any further than where the kind of like the leaves start to come out. So you can go right up to the stem, but don't go any further because it kind of grows from the middle. You don't want to lose the growing tip. I'm going to be starting off some pak choi. Apparently it's quite frost tolerant and does much better earlier in the year than later in the year. Who knew? I didn't know. If anyone knew that, if you can put something in the comments. If you've done it this time of year, then do let me know. But I'm going to be starting some pak choi off because my efforts of pak choi haven't been the best, I'm not going to lie. So I'm also going to be starting off from seed because I managed to get my hands on them quite reasonably. It's asparagus. It's a good time of year to start some asparagus seeds off. They do take a very long time before you actually get some asparagus, but I thought I'd start a small amount off and then hopefully in a few years time I'll actually get some of my own asparagus. I've got some crowns in at the allotment and I have some that grows wild in my garden, but I could do with a little bit more, so I'm going to be starting that off. So one of the things that gives me the most excitement to start off, and it really does mean that like things are starting to change, are planting my squashes and my courgettes. It's one of the most fun things that I absolutely adore doing. I've got all sorts of different varieties. I've got table queen, Turk's turban, vegetable spaghetti, jack-o'-lantern, butternut, I've got golden zucchini, I've got Lebanese, I've got lots and lots of different varieties, and that's one of the things I love most about growing my own fruit and vegetables, is the fact that I can grow all different varieties, you know, and it costs us like pence or a few pounds. You know, quite often a pack of seeds will last 2 or 3 years. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant some of these on just to show you how I do it. So that's my propagator. Like I said, we will put a link for that if you want to purchase one of those. Something else that people ask a lot about are books as well. The Allotment Month by Month is absolutely fantastic by Alan Buckingham. So we will put a link up on the screen and also one in the description for that. And it's a really good idea to have an allotment planner so you can look at what you've done from year to year. And again, we will put a link up on the screen and also one in the description if you want to get those. It really, I refer to it all the time, even though I've been gardening for years, because each year you sometimes forget a little bit and it's really good to have a refresh. So now I'm going to start planting some of my squashes. I've put my compost into the pots. I do it right up to the top, and I'm going to start off with a few of the different things I've got here. So I've got some winter early butternut. If you're going to do butternut, it is one of the ones that takes a little bit longer to ripen sometimes, so that's a really good idea to get that started early. I generally put about 3 to a pot in case they don't take, and even if they do take, provided you spread them out enough, then you can easily just pop them on. It's a good problem to have if more germinate. So I've got like a little, if you didn't have a tool like this, you could just as easily use a butter knife. So if we just kind of like do like a pyramid and then just drop, you don't do them too far down, and just gently drop them in like so. And I'll start off all my squashes over the next few weeks, and I've got a slightly dodgy one there that doesn't look like it's going to grow, so I'll put 4 in there. So it's fine to start them off like this. I do it all the time, and it just means if one doesn't grow, like one there that looks like it's probably worth throwing out, but you never know, it might sprout. I don't like to throw things away, especially squash seeds are generally one of the more expensive ones. So just pop them in just like that, about the depth of the seed really, and then obviously just cover them with a little bit of compost. Like I say, I will start them off in this propagator. It's well worth it if you haven't got one, because I just find the germination's much better. Obviously don't forget to label. I know I say this every single time, but it is so easy to think, oh, I'll remember, and you never do. Even when you label them, I still get them wrong. So do you know what I mean? You definitely need to label. So butternut. So I've got those started. So I'm going to just start off a mixture of different ones. So that's 2 lots of butternut. I'm going to do some courgettes now. So that's a yellow, like a yellow scallop one. So that's like that one, which is quite interesting. So I'm going to try that one, put that one in. So these seeds are, you know, at least 2 years old, and like I say, they do genuinely keep. Getting these mixed packs of seeds, if you can get them, they're quite handy because you get a good selection of different types. So we'll pop those in. Now they're a couple of years old, it is wise to start using them up because they will start to deteriorate, but they do often last more than 1 year. In fact, sometimes they go over 3. I generally just try and sow everything, and I don't like to throw anything away really, or share them with other people if I get too many. So if I'll do the same with that one actually. I've got a spare 4th one. Again, I generally put 3 in, but because I've got an odd 4th one, I will just pop the extra 4th one in rather than starting off another pot, like so. So that's roughly how you do courgettes and squashes, and they're the same for all of them. As soon as they've germinated, I'll take them out and then I'll do a whole tray full, and then I'll put more in along with some of the other things I'm planting. A few people have been asking about the gloves, another Amazon purchase, and they do all sorts of different patterns if you're interested, but I really like these lovely hummingbird ones. I thought they're absolutely fantastic. We will put a link up on the screen and one in the description. I do hope you've enjoyed watching my channel, and if you're wondering what's going up at the plot, I actually did a tour last week and you can take a look.